Night 3 of our Festivus at the Fillmore. My name is Tamo, and I am joined by Josh and Sarah, also known as Phantogram. How you guys doing?
Doing good. How about you?
Really great. I actually had the pleasure of talking to you guys just a few months ago in Los Angeles, and it was incredible. It was, I believe, the second time you had ever played Into Happiness live.
Oh, yeah.
It was beautiful, and I know from that experience that people are in for a treat tonight. And you were talking to my buddy Harms about how the song, you were still getting feedback at that time. About the song, and the feedback was it makes you happy, but you can cry to it.
Yes.
And I loved that. I was like standing in the background, like I love that because it reminds me of Steel. Have you ever seen Steel Magnolia? And it's the part where Dolly Parton says, "Oh, my favorite emotion is laughter through tears."
Yes.
And I'm like, that's perfect. That's perfect for that song. So
Yeah.
anyway, congratulations on all the new songs. We just got
Thank you.
In a Spiral.
Yeah.
And Mr. Impossible.
Mr. Impossible, In a Spiral, Into Happiness. Those are the ones right now. We have some
Do
more.
we have an album?
We have music.
We have a lot more coming out soon.
We have a
We just
lot
can't
of-
tell you
Yeah.
when exactly.
We're not allowed to talk about it, but we
Okay.
can say that we have a lot of music that you haven't heard yet. We can't wait for you to hear it.
That's
but you
very
have
exciting.
to. You have to be patient.
You recorded what may or may not be an album in, in Laurel Canyon, where you're sharing views with icons like, Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles. Did any of that kind of inspire you when making the music? Is that kind of where that I don't want to say psychedelic, but
I don't think necessarily the genre
Right,
inspired
right,
us,
right.
but we were very inspired by just having people come into the studio and hang out and vibe out and stay for a few days, stay for a couple weeks, stay for a night,
Yeah.
types of different people in general, all artists. It was
sort
just
of like a revival of what was happening in the late 60s in Laurel Canyon and early 70s. It's kind of coming back. A lot of musicians live out there and work together and stuff. And
There's
I mean, I
definitely a-
guess there's some magic in the air.
There's definitely a vibe there
Yeah.
that we took advantage of. It's also a really lovely space because we can make music whenever we want. It's on our own terms, which reminds us a lot of when we first started working on music together
In
for
upstate
Island
New
movies.
York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do it whenever we wanted to. We didn't have to worry about.
And for those who don't know, Laurel Canyon in Los Angeles is it's this most beautiful, the hills, the sunsets. It is pure magic. And that was, you guys had 3 barns.
Yes.
Was it
3.
in the early
Yeah.
days in upstate New York? So you're kind of
Uh-huh.
getting to relive that, but in a more refreshing setting.
As close as we can possibly get to that. I mean, it will never be that incredible, but it's in its own world. We call it Harmony West.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And it's been 10 years, really, since the beginning of Phantogram as we know it,
Yeah.
2009. And I just started thinking, I'm like, everybody's doing that stupid 10-year challenge on, and if you did it, and I didn't see
Oh.
it, sorry.
No, we didn't. We should do that.
I don't know what it is.
Well, everybody's posting like their pictures from, MySpace
years
or, from 10 years ago, and then a
Well,
picture
I
of
could
today.
put 2 and 2 together.
But I was like thinking more of like a life factor, and for y'all as an artist factor in that 10-year challenge, if that's what you want to call it. What would be points of growth, like the biggest changes from when you guys kind of first started in 2009?
Well, we started just the 2 of us. We toured Eyelid Movies. Our first album came out almost 10 years ago. It came out in January or February of 2010. And we toured so much, just the 2 of us, for 3 years straight on that album. We've gone from playing, touring in a Prius across the country to a van with a trailer, to a bus, to 2 buses, to 2 buses and a semi-truck.
They big time now.
We used to play for 5 people a night. We've gotten to play, places like Madison Square Garden and the Hollywood Bowl, and it's just been a real pleasure, and we just keep growing organically.
Yeah.
That's amazing and well-deserved, all of that success, by the way, because
Thank you.
if I'm ever talking to somebody that isn't familiar, I'm like, scratch listening. If you listen to the music, sure, listen to the music. Go find a show. You guys are one of my favorite live experience. It is a whole damn vibe, and you can feel the energy, and it's one of the best times. And your fans obviously know that because even with just the promise of what may or may not be an album, they're showing up.
Yeah.
On this tour. I mean, I've been paying attention, like looking on all the social. I'm like, that's awesome, and you guys deserve it. You've worked so hard for it.
Thanks.
And I was doing a little digging on Mr. Impossible and saw that was kind of conceptualized 10 years ago.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So you had the title.
I had the
John-
song title
Yeah.
like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I like to write down song titles, and then we work from there
Yeah.
at times. Like, oh, Mr. Impossible sounds cool. And we
Yeah,
just
but
kinda-
that sample chop up beat.
Oh,
one
yeah.
of the
Yeah, I made the
both
beat
of-
a long time ago.
A long time ago. So Josh.
That she found in the archives because he sends them to her, and
Yeah.
she just hangs on to them for safekeeping.
He just makes
Yeah.
something and he doesn't finish it because it's just the way incredibly your brain works. But that's where I come in. I'm like, you can't give that to any rappers. He always was like, oh, cool. Well, you just use this for whoever wants to use it. I'm like, nope. Don't
That's
even
us.
try it.
That's ours.
That's-
Well, 10 years later, I mean, what clicked? What was the deciding factor, that wasn't on 3 or any other project where you said, you know what, now, 10 years later, this is the song, we're ready to use this title. What was it that clicked for you guys?
I mean, that really just happens with all of our music.
Yeah.
Like we have, on our last album, Answer, one of the songs on that, I wrote that idea when I was like 20 years old.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit older.
Not
Don't-
much.
Not much, maybe a
Yeah.
couple years, but yeah, I wrote that idea like, 15 years ago. So
Yeah.
things just kind of pop up, and again, Sarah takes my hard drives and stuff, and then we like brainstorm and
Yeah, we just have
figure
a
things out.
full, like, just when we write, we just write and we have it in a folder. Like, oh, cool, we did this July 19th, 2017 idea.
Mhm. Yeah.
Didn't have time to actually finish it, so we just kind of like pick and choose what we have been working on, and it just kind of just comes together on its own.
Yeah.
I say this with respect, but you sound like a crazy person. But there is obviously a method to that madness because
Yeah.
it's amazing. And
Yeah.
also, he's not giving himself enough credit. While some of these songs take 15 years or 10 years to conceptualize, you've done stuff in 15 to 30 minutes before.
Absolutely,
And that's,
yeah.
It's
that
all
is
different.
the beauty of what you guys do. And we are very grateful and very excited to see you tonight. So once
Thank
again,
you.
Phantogram, night 3 of our Festivus at the Fillmore. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.